Uh. Knocked his ass out and kissed him on the cheek. He fucked up just by thinking I was sweet. I run the city, might have thought I was some cliques. You never heard someone like this up on the beat. Tutti fruity, the booty duty is jury duty. Moody foodies, jacuzzis is filled with bougie booties. All of this money don't know how to count it, man. I think I need a computer. I can't live in beat, man. I live at the funeral. I got no need for a shooter. I'm getting bigger. Do you wanna reconsider? Lost control of a killer. I'm getting bigger. The whole label's drug dealers, If you build it, homie, they will come. If you turning up to save me some. Drive down to get your ego on. I don't care for boring people. I think you're lame. I only politic with goons wild out the frame. Better take another shot, bitch. It's not a game. I'll beat it out the frame. Baraka waka flock of flame. I am a Benjamin. You know that I have a problem with acting a fool. I don't talk to police. I know nothing. I swear to God that shit is not true. I'm a barbarian, hopping adrenaline, looking for something to do. I'm remarkable. I'm on a roll. If you need education, I'll take you to school. I'm getting bigger. Do you wanna reconsider? Lost control of a killer. I'm getting bigger. Wake up, brush off, get clean, look good. Put on 2 chains, flexing, but what's up? So fly, 2C, be you, look good. I win, you lose, fuck you, what's up? I don't care for boring people. I think you're lame. I only politic with goons wild out the frame. Better take another shot, bitch. It's not a game. I'll beat it out the frame. Baraka waka flock of flame. Yeah, I'm the shit. Now I think I will go catch a body. Fuck your bitch. And then I will go take a potty. No teriyaki, yeah, rock Kawasaki. If you're go you can hop in the shot. She popping the molly. We're copping the squatty. Ooh, still keep loving the body. I'm getting bigger. Do you wanna reconsider? Lost control of a killer. I'm getting bigger. Sing this. 1 time. 2 time. 3 time. Hey.
What is happening to you guys? And welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate. I am your host, El Capitan. And tonight on the tailgate party that never seems to stop, we got our guest back on, Brian Cat NFL, a.k.a. Cat. We were going to have him on tonight. We're going to go over some of the free agency pickups. I know. Dolphins fans are not too pleased, hoping for some bigger splashes. Still is some time, but if you want to be real, some savvy moves were made. And we're going to also look a little bit to the draft. This is part 2. We looked at the defense last time with Cat. Now we're going to look at the offense, get some of the prospects. Maybe the Dolphins are waiting. Did you guys ever think that the Dolphins, as far as spending some free agency or grabbing someone that they really like, they're going to wait for one of these teams after the draft to let someone go or something like that? And there's always guys that get cut that are surprise cuts after the draft. And Chris Greer could just pick up one of them guys, have a day 1 starter, a guy who can compete for day 1 starting. I don't know. But let's not lose our cools just yet. We'll go into some of these guys. We'll look forward to other guys. We got Ali in the back. Maybe Color or any of the other guys will come around and pop in here and get in on some of this. And, we'll have a good time. We'll go through it, be here for the next 2 hours or so. Guys, also make sure on your way in, hit the like button. Help the algorithm get cooking. Got about 50 in the room now. Let's get that up. Make sure the notification bells are turned on. If you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter, make the mild journey over here to YouTube and subscribe here on the YouTube network. And also, guys, check out all the great content we got here. All the different guys, the different creators. You got myself doing the Fins Tailgate. You got Lou, the Rabid Dolphin, along with DTA doing some of the middays around this month. DTA also doing the Dolphins debriefs. Make sure to check him out doing that. You got our main man Color getting ready to come out with some morning color stuff with Ali here in the future. Wait till you guys see that good stuff come out. Ali's got Late Night XL put on pause right now, but he will still be dropping some broken takes here and there. Guys, help support the channel by using Cash App and Venmo. Also, great way to support the channel is using the super chat, little dollar sign down there next to your comments. Get your comments in, get your questions in, help the show, help us grow, help us take this to the next level. Also, great way to support is becoming a member. Go to the homepage, hit the join button, become a member of the TFTG family. Also, guys, link is also in the description for Fanatics.
New seasons, new gear. Show the world what it means to be a fan in 100% authentic gear. Fanatics, officially licensed everything.
The description for some of our gear. Got new gear all up and down. Wait till you guys see all the new stuff we got coming for you, coming at you. Still got some of the good. There is a new color of hat for the TFTG. I might be buying that muff for myself. Still got the beanies. Still got the flags. Still got the cool shirts. Make sure you guys are getting some. Also, check out our friends with Doobie Energy Drinks. Going to the gym, need to get your gains, need yourself a doobie to get that energy. Get yourself a doobie. And our friends at Backroom Collections, offer code TFTG will give you 10% off of all of your purchases. Shout out to you. Check them out. Great one-of-a-kind canvas art. And then also, guys, make sure, again, that you're hitting the like button. And shout out to everybody who got in here in chat. California in the family. What's going on, buddy? Cool Rich. What's going on, bud? Scrappy, Jay. I could see the light. Gee, fins up. Listen, the light is shining brightly, G, and we gonna be here. It ain't Run It Back 2023. It's Run It Back 2024. This team is putting it together. This is a 2-year window. We got to get in it. But Hannah, what's up? Lewis, member, family member, positive vibes only, 100%. John, what's going on? Joe, been in the family since there was a family to be a part of. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Bills do suck. No truer statement than that. Thomas, what's going on, buddy? Shout out to the mods and the members. Everyone keeping it cool. Fins up 74. Ruben, what's up? Nightwolf, contributor, helper, friend. Yeah, we did. We're scraping the barrel, but I kind of felt like this was coming anyhow, Nightwolf. I really felt like they were going to play it close to the chest and get more guys to compete and, prepare with depth. So, Armand, what's up? Jay Miami Sports, what's going on? Another family member up in this member of the family and a member of the show. Shake Money coming at you. What's going on, Shake? David. Damn, David dropping the Tua is trash. You need to get with it, David. What the fuck? Chad, what's up, buddy? Long time no see, man. Where you been hiding at? Jamie, what's up? Jay. D'Angelo, salute, buddy. El Capitan, appreciate it. John, my guy. Batman's Pops, what's going on? Jermaine, what's good? Fred Dunlap, how goes it? For you guys over there watching on Facebook, salute. Make sure everyone's hitting the like button. My man, Damien, what's good? Shout out to everybody. Get those likes up. So, I'm not going to hang it back. Newfoundland, what's up, buddy? We'll bring Cat on real quick. What's going on, buddy? You're on mute.
I sure am.
There you go. What's going on?
How are you?
I am hanging in there. I know Dolphin fans are a little bit teetering on the edge, feeling like we're missing out on a lot of the free agents that we had hoped for. It's painfully apparent that the Dolphins are not willing to spend big money, that they believe in the team they have right now as far as starters and want to get depth. It's been nothing but that. The whole entire running back room comes back, just a lot to talk about there, man. I got Ali and Color in the back. I'm going to bring Ali up. Color, are you ready to come up too? Bring yourself up, Color. I don't know.
Sure thing, man.
I understand the frustration there a little bit, but I go back to a couple of things here. Is if I had told you at the beginning of the offseason that the Dolphins would get Vic Fangio as their defensive coordinator, Jalen Ramsey for a third-round pick, and David Long for a 2-year, $11 million contract, that alone, game over. That's an A+ offseason. And I'm not a fanboy for anybody that knows me. Okay.
You call it, you shoot straight.
I tend to view actually on the negative side of things. So
it depends on your definition of fanboy. I mean, some of us think that being objective is the proper fanboy. You know what I mean? Like, I care about the team, so I'm going to tell you when they need to fix themselves. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And there's that on one part. And the other part, I understand in the last 36 hours, the Dolphins haven't made a lot of the moves that I preferred that they would make. At running back, I'm glad they got Raheem Mostert back on a cheap contract. Jeff Wilson, I'm 50-50 on getting him back. Myles Gaskin made no sense to me at all, but it's a 1-year contract, and we'll see what those terms are.
I wonder about the Gaskin thing. I listen, Gaskin wasn't used at all last year, and we do know his blocking has got some problems. But if they go back to using Gaskin how he had a lot of success as the scat back role, catching some passes quite often, I don't know if it's scheme that he just had a hard time working his way in. I don't know if Mike McDaniel and him, maybe he had nagging injuries they were keeping hidden from us. Who knows?
Last year he was dealing with a little bit of a nagging injuries.
We do know that, but like even when they were trying to get him on the roster and he wasn't on, you know what I'm saying? So if they work him back in and McDaniel starts using the Gaskin we know how to use, he's a definite weapon for this offense if they use him properly.
If they use him in the passing game,
then
I think
for what it's worth. I mean, and for what it's worth, we paid $1 million basically for bringing a guy in that we know has, like people said, well, why don't you get somebody in the draft? Why don't you this? Why don't you that? And I think that a lot of those people forget that we have been. I mean, we got Jared Dukes. He couldn't beat out Gaskin. We got Zacondre White. He couldn't beat out Gaskin. So now basically we've paid $1 million to say, look, whoever we bring in next, young guy A or B or Y from the draft, even whatever, look, if you can't beat out Gaskin, then we're okay giving up $1 million to have him as our RB4 again.
No harm, no foul, Color. No harm, no foul.
So you're basically paying $1 million for a camp litmus.
I do think that the plan all along was to run it back with the running backs. I think they were happy where they were at. The one style of running back that I think that we don't have is a goal line threat. And that's the one position that I think that maybe we get that guy in the draft and, the late 3rd round or maybe later possibly. I mean, there's enough running backs to go around. We could still get one in this draft. On top of that, regarding some of the free agency that we picked up, I think it's very telling that Chris Grier hides but tells you up front what he's going to do. You know what I mean? He did say they were happy with the offensive tackles that they have. They did bring depth players in, okay? I know people may not be happy with Freeney or bringing Lamb back, but they had potential, and I don't think we're done. Let alone, I've already shared what I really think. Everybody should know by now that Chris Grier is always 2 steps ahead. He hides what he does openly, but he hides it in a way that you don't know what he's doing, and then he surprises you. Look at the Tyreek Hill trade that happened. The week before that happened, I was one of them. You can go back and look at my tweets to the Miami Dolphins begging Chris Greer for an
Twittiness.
tackle.
We go back and look at your twittiness. Is
Yeah,
that
you
what you're gonna
twerp. I mean, twit.
So
Go ahead,
here's my question as
No, no.
it relates to, because Ali, you said last week of how high you were on Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back from Alabama. I am too. One of my favorite players in the draft. Here's my question: is if what the Dolphins have done here and bringing the whole room back, if Jahmyr Gibbs falls to 51, do the Dolphins still draft him, or do they say we've got too many running backs?
No way. Just what Color said earlier. You look at Ahmed or Gaskin and you go, hey, which one of you guys is going to be back number 4 this year? And you let them go at it.
Yeah, I
and
was
you
going to
then have
say
your
it's
other
not
guy.
just a new guy coming in. It's anybody in our room that is suspect is going to have to meet the litmus of Myles Gaskin.
Yeah, here's the issue. Here's the issue with that. I think when you have that type of player fall like that, which I highly doubt happens, right? But let's say it did. There's no way Miami Dolphins say no to Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm sorry. There's no way. The media would fry them alive. That's how much I believe Miami would actually take that pick no matter what.
Well, there's another thing to consider here too. Is Greer playing possum right now? Because it seems the last couple of years when people, put a running back that the Dolphins were looking for a running back, it was pretty obvious we would take one if one fell to us. And we've seen teams leapfrog us and grab a running back 1, 2, 3 picks right in front of us, knowing that they're not going to fall past the Dolphins, that we're going to take them. Are the other teams that would do that look at us and think, well, their room's done. They brought everyone back. It's all a thing. Maybe Chris Greer's playing possum on this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's looking at that situation.
Well, I did want to get real quick, Ali. I didn't know if you were still wanted to conclude your.
Hold on, Color. Let Ali land. Let Ali land.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
I just want to. What I was trying to say is, I think he might be playing possum, but not necessarily for the running back. I think he's doing it in free agency. Because if you think about it, we're holding on to money that it's not there physically, but we have money coming and we have money that we can open up very easily, right?
Why? Wow, we're sandbagging right now. We're sandbagging hard, dude. We're sandbagging. We've got 25 mil hidden.
That's what I'm coming out with, because I honestly think he has a plan, just nobody sees it yet until it happens. That's basically where I'm at.
And to follow that up, I don't.
Thomas
where
said it
some
best
might see
earlier
a
in the chat.
coincidence, I see
Boom.
providence that Brian Cat is on the show tonight.
Greer always plays chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He's straight up sandbagging. Whether it's for the draft, again, it leaves him a bunch of potential in both ways.
Yep, and being that you're from the great Show Me State, I can probably more easily speak your language to express to you how I understand your take. So you're basically, and it's not bad. I mean, maybe it isn't, because again, where some people see coincidence, you might see providence. And what it just reminds me a lot of when I first moved to St. Louis, and kind of things where it's like they lost the Rams. There ain't really much talk about the NFL on the airwaves. You gotta kind of, if you want to be involved at the water cooler, you gotta get into baseball.
Oh, I've never cared about any other sport or the Rams
right, but you do hear the news, you do hear the media, and you probably would know. Like if I just said one name, it's like John Mozeliak from the Cardinals. It's like the St. Louis Cardinals fans do nothing but bitch and moan all offseason every year about the fact that Mozeliak sits on his hands and doesn't ever make a big splash. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I consistently win championships. You know what I mean?
I understand your reference, and even though I know nothing about baseball, I can tell you more players on the Arizona Cardinals roster than I can in the other 3 sports combined. That's how much I'm dialed into football. But yes, I understand your reference on that. And look, the Dolphins are not being cheap in any sense of the word. And I'm not saying you're implying that at all. Is when we talk about getting the Dolphins offensive line help. The question I ask to everybody, who do you want? Give me a name and we'll talk about that.
Well, now
One name I'll give you that I think could be slotted into the right tackle position and do a serviceable job is Cameron Fleming. He was the Broncos right tackle last year, and he did a good job. He was a 2014 pick. He was a 2014 pick here from the Patriots. He has really good length. He did a good job last year for the same offensive line coach that the Dolphins have now. He's somebody that if you're hoping to do a serviceable job at the right tackle spot, he could be it. And I'll go a step further, and I know everyone will disagree with me on this. I don't think Brandon Shell was that bad last year.
I don't either.
Oh, I
don't
agree
either.
with you. I don't think he was.
Wholeheartedly agree.
I think they should re-sign him now. I don't know why they haven't already.
I was ready for a fight with Brandon Shell, but I'm glad we all agree
No,
on that.
I think Brandon Shell, as far as the role you're going to ask from him, and you know what? If he pushes for the starting right tackle position, you win. Winner chicken dinner. Yeah. I don't think he's the worst option. And also, it again allows Greer and the Dolphins to remain fluid in the draft. If one of these guys, which we're going to talk about, falls in their lap, that they go, this could be real competition at the right tackle position or even the swing tackle. Then when you move off of Austin Jackson next year or trade him or something like that, all for naught. You already got your guy in there. So that's just in case.
Could you imagine the horror if Austin Jackson misses a block and gets Tua hurt?
Oh my God. He will be the memes of Austin Jackson with Jesse Davis's face and the number of Jesse Davis drawn over him.
Would they start calling him Jesse Jackson?
I mean, Greer would pack his bags right there. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. Austin Jackson is a fantastic human being, and he's trying really hard. I want him to do well with whatever he does. I mean, his story about when he came out of USC and he donated
bone marrow to his sister.
I mean, how could you not love that? But I hated I still hated the pick because at number 18 overall, he was 20 years old, coming off that procedure.
Injury.
And he was terrible in college. He was terrible in college. But I understand the allure with him because he's 6'5", 320, and is a good athlete. But I don't know how you trust him to protect to his blind side, and I don't think you can at any level.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, I said it last year. The move is to put him at right guard or left guard, and then put Eichenberg at the other guard and kick Hunt out to right tackle. Yes. That is a good offensive line. Why aren't they doing this? I don't know. I don't know who's not getting the message over there, but something tells me bringing in these other bodies, the guy we brought in free agency with the mullet from the Jets, this guy could be a sneaky good depth piece, and maybe he gives one of these guys a run for their money as far as the guard position. If he takes one of those guard positions, and we still have Robert Jones, which I like too. I thought he did pretty good.
He's got a mullet. He'll fit right in Florida.
I'm saying, did you see the picture of the guy? He looks like he escaped a freaking insane asylum. He looks like a real freaking monster, this guy. He could be good. We don't know. I'm not opposed to anybody.
As far as what you said there on Hunt is, what it's always come back to for me is that I would rather have a B+ right tackle over an A- right guard because of the importance of the position. I mean, Robert Hunt. I mean, 2 years ago he played right tackle and he did a good job. As a right guard, he was better. But you can't have a right guard of Robert Hunt and a right tackle of Austin Jackson unless he significantly improves protecting to his blind side, especially with the injury history of Tua.
That's right.
You just can't
It's too
do
much
it.
of a liability unless he comes out and is a world beater. And who knows? Maybe the year off, getting healthier. These guys take a little bit different of a health plan in those types of long windows. I won't go into that, but anyhow, maybe he's been in the books the whole time. Maybe he's been learning the scheme. Maybe he understands that this is his. He's either gonna he's either going to get paid. They're not picking up his 5th-year option. So he's going to either be off this football team or fighting for a contract, no matter how you slice it. Whether he's on a different football team, he's going to need to get paid by them. Is he going to be one of those guys that was a first-round pick and is straight a guy that teams bring in to put the flyer on and pay him a little bit of money for a 1 or 2 year prove-it deal? Or is he going to be one of those guys that the Dolphins have to scratch their head about and go, do I offer this guy a multi-year contract or not? Or am I going to let him walk out of the building? It is on him.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Same shit with Noah, but I don't think Noah's going to pull it off. I think the shots of Noah pulling it off are quadrupled when you're talking Noah over Jackson. That's a sad fact.
I am so pumped about Nick Needham coming back on a 1-year,
I've been dying
$2 million
for Nick
deal.
Needham.
It's never good when a player gets hurt. This guy was turning into one of the best nickelbacks in football last year. Then he unfortunately tore his Achilles, but he did it early in the season enough again in the Monday Night Football game, I think, against the Steelers, where he can recover. Because if he had continued to play at that same level, it would not be. He would get a contract, $4 or $5 million that would have priced him out of the Dolphins' range.
Oh yeah, he got like a $30 million 4-year deal somewhere or something like that, maybe even a little bit more, and a lot of guarantees. Sadly enough, his injury is our gain. I like him. I don't know if you've seen him. He looks like he's put a little bit of weight on too. He's looking a little thick as far as, how he is. I wonder in this Fangio scheme, they're going to use him in the nickel and drop him in. You know how Fangio uses that safety nickel rotation? Well, they can use him in that rotation amongst the safeties because Needham has done that. If at any given moment, you don't know who's the safety because these guys are switching in and out from nickel position and stuff like that. Needham can even play that jack linebacker at times because of how big he is. He's a strong tackler. I think we could see some good production in this Fangio scheme from what Needham can do with his versatility as well. I think Kohu's going to be a go-to nickel guy. So we got our boundaries.
Tackling skills are just absolutely class act in my opinion. He's the best tackler on our team last year. I know that's actually a bad thing to say, but a good thing to say for him. You know what I mean?
Nick Needham is gonna toggle back and forth between nickelback and that safety look too, because I like that the Dolphins have, if you include Needham as a nickelback safety type, 4 legitimate safeties. Javon Holland, Deshaun Elliott, who I thought was a really underrated pickup. He's only 25 years old. And Nick Needham, they bring back, and Brandon Jones coming back off injury. So I think there's a lot of strength and numbers there at the strong safety position.
Didn't Elliott and Brandon Jones go to school together in Texas?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Brandon Jones was a 3rd-round pick in 2020, and Deshaun Elliott was a 6th-round pick in 2019. He was a typical guy that falls to the Ravens in the draft. He should have gone several rounds earlier. And this past year, again, for the Lions, he played 843 snaps. So just this past year, he's 25 years old. So I don't know if he's quite fast enough to cover the deep part of the field, but he's at the worst a really good depth piece. Excuse me.
You got it.
Like you said, depth thief. That's a good thing too.
That's right. He'd be getting depth out there and thieving the ball away right now.
Thieving the ball away.
That's right.
So
I've seen that. You've seen that video where he put the hit on Derrick Henry, right?
Oh, that's the guy. Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
one of the guys.
Oh yeah, I seen that. A
That
crack
video,
on him.
yeah, it's ridiculous. So
Yeah,
I'll
and,
I like that, sure.
and I feel like, that's the type of guys that Fangio is looking for. Dudes that are going to come down hard downhill and lay the licks. That's what we're looking for.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know where you intended to go next, El Capitan, but I would like Brian Cat's opinion on that Barrios move. I think that the most important thing for me is that it basically secures two positions and opens up a roster spot, given that, and you may agree or disagree, but it's my opinion that it basically makes both, given that Barrios can cover the wide receiver duties of a River Craycraft while also covering the punt return duties of a Cedric Wilson. It almost makes both of those guys expendable, bringing in Braxton Berrios.
I love the move of Braxton Berrios, and
I do too.
I
Sneaky
think
good.
having a punt returner who knows what he's doing in that area is an underrated thing, and we saw that last year. I mean, look, Jakeem Grant's biggest problems a couple of years ago is that he fumbled all the time. Other than that, this was probably the best returner for the Dolphins in their history.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back over some of his tape, but I mean, I watched him in college. Obviously, I'm a Hurricanes fan, so I don't ever recall him having an issue with his hands. So, like I said, he'll easily be able to cover the duties of a River Craycraft, as much as I'd hate to see my boy Craycraft go.
Yeah, right.
You know.
And I'm glad you brought up Craycraft. I mean, Craycraft was a crafty type of dude, but I think too much was made of the 2 touchdowns that he caught earlier in the year. They were gutsy touchdown catches, but he can't do everything that Berrios does. Berrios was a first-team All-Pro returner for the Jets 1 year ago. The Jets have had 4 first-team All-Pros in the last 15 years.
And let's face it, when you're talking about a realistic guy that has a potential of becoming a Welker type or something like that, or an Edelman type, it is him. He's got a hard noggin and he's got a lot of heart, so I'd love the move. It's not just because he's a Hurricane, but that too, but I love the move.
And the Dolphins did not have a guy last year who could return punts and also be that fourth receiver at the same time, because let's be honest, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, when they were returning punts, they were trying to protect their bodies. Braxton Berrios can get on the field in that Craycraft type of role, but also elevate it. He can get more separation off the snap, and he can be an all-pro type of returner. No brainer. I love this move. I was so excited about it when I saw it here on the TV.
Do you know what he runs as far as a 40? I mean, the guy is really fast off the snap.
He's
too.
super shifty, that's for sure.
4.48, I believe. And his
miles slower than he plays. You know what I mean? He seems like he plays faster than that.
Well, when he gets that shiftiness going, he's missing tackles. Yeah. He's been breaking pretty good tackles, that's for sure.
I will warn Dolphins fans about one thing. 2 of his best games were against the Dolphins the last 2 years. That's not a shot at the guy.
I think he was showing the Dolphins, hey, I want to be back home in Miami.
That's what I thought too.
And he got some good. I always thought so, bro. I always thought that when I saw him. That happens.
When the Patriots drafted Braxton Berrios, the universal opinion is this guy is Wes Welker. And he's going to kill us here.
It was his comp coming out of college. Everyone said it was, a Wes Welker type of guy. And now we got Wes Welker in the coaching staff. He's going to show him what's good. He's got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and it's apparent that those are the type of wide receivers that Mike McDaniel wants to use, that Tua uses well out of this scheme.
Well, they're precisely the type that you use in a West Coast scheme. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, and to me, we're stacking our room with guys like that.
So 100%. I'll also say too, and a question to you guys, because we're keeping it pretty open here, is Trent Sherfield is not getting a lot of interest here, and I kind of feel sorry for the guy, But I also don't want him back. And here's why, because I don't want the Trent Sherfield crutch when it comes to guys on the roster like Eric Ezekama, Cedric
Oh my God,
Wilson,
Brian's
Braxton
stealing it,
Berrios.
buddy. I am 100% with you there. I want to see more of those other dudes, and I feel like they're going to elevate them in the role. I don't think the Dolphins get any more wide receivers around here.
And
I think
as
they
much-
like
and as
Braylon
much-
Sanders, and I feel like Eric Ikuzama makes his it gets his coming out moment this year coming up here, and I'm excited to see these guys.
Yep. And as much as I put expectations as I have on Waddle, with good reason, you got to catch that pass that he dropped in the end zone, man. You just got to, bro. That's like, I'm not one of those people that holds a player to one play like that, but I've had to hear it all season long, like, because obviously we get a lot of people that, you know, have to reach to defend to us. So I've heard that a lot. Like, you got to catch that ball. And people are right. Tua put that ball on the money when it comes to an NFL play and the whole context of an NFL play. You know, if you're talking about backyard where you should put the ball, no. But if you're talking about in that, during the context of that play, that ball was put exactly where it should have been put. And Sherfield dropped it. You know what I mean? So I put a lot of heat on Waddle for his problems he had in the playoff game. And so I'd have to be fair the other way around. You know what I mean? Waddle's younger, you know, and the fact of it is, I'm all about, look, if somebody comes, everybody likes to misrepresent my position and say that I want to shop Waddle, but I absolutely don't. And I do think the guy can fix his issues. I'm just saying that at this point, he's probably got flaws that, you know, bring him below that level where you're like 100% sure he's a guaranteed wide receiver one in the league. You know what I mean? A consistent 20+ point fantasy point scorer. You know what I mean? And it just, I don't see him that way. Now, if so many people came at me, Brian, the reaction was like a bee's hive, you know, or a bee's nest. So I'm guessing that 90% of the people, not just in the Dolphins fan base, but in the league at large, are probably laughing at me right now about my take on Waddle, right? Which means, what it means to me is that if somebody comes knocking, they're going to give us a bag for him. And I'm just of the thought that if that were to happen, you take it.
Go. Let it go, Color. Waddle is a Dolphin. We ain't giving up this guy unless they give us 5 first-round draft picks. You ain't even considering
but I'm
shopping
just saying, though, if Christian
Kirk
could command the money that he got from the Jaguars, then we're talking
Waddle
about a guy
the guy who gets the bag after we move off of Tyreek, bro. It's the
exactly right. That's it. And
what
both
ideally
you
you'd like
right.
to happen. And I'm not trying to ward against that. I'm just saying that if some sucker comes calling along right now and wants to give you a wide receiver one bag for him because everybody thinks he's this elite
over
guy,
here predicting the future. Nostradamus commentary.
Brian's like, I'm just gonna take you out of the woods.
I thought you brought up really good points. That there are a couple of things with Waddle. Is number one, he does not have natural hands, but he has elite separation ability. I'm talking off the charts, elite separation ability. And you're talking about somebody who, at 24 years old, had almost 1,400 yards this past year, and it's not by coincidence. He dropped so many. He could have had 1,700 yards.
Oh, my God.
El Capitan, what you said is exactly right. When Tyreek Hill, who is 29 this upcoming year, they're going to get out of that contract in a couple of years. That's a story for another day. Waddle is going to assume every single role that Tyreek Hill has. So as far as Waddle's concerned, if you're talking about a trade in any way, it would have to be several first rounders. And
see, that's what I'm thinking most. See, listen, again, judging by the reaction I get every time I bring it up, I'm sure that's what the bag would be if somebody did come calling. You see what I'm saying? That's why I think, it's like we always are. Whenever I talk to somebody about it, that's what we arrive at. It'd have to be a mountain. And I'm just picturing like Herschel Walker, Khalil Mack, guys like these where people were like, what are you doing? And it ended up really working out for them in the long run.
Yeah, and my third
Color
point
sounds like a
something that's
real
important.
hater is what it sounds like, Brian. Or
Something
Cat. I
that's
mean, he
important-
sounds like a real hater is what it sounds like.
This is a great discussion here, and one thing to keep we all have to keep in mind here is that with the Dolphins window that we're talking about, Jalen Waddle is on a rookie contract. He's not making shit right now. But
Yeah.
when he gets that contract extension, he'll be making 15 to 20 million a year. Same goes for Tua. Same goes for Christian Wilkins. They're all on rookie contracts. That's why this window is so important right now.
I mean, complete
again,
facts.
and
You gotta-
again, it quickly
also,
gets turned around that I want to
do have
shop
injury
him, and
concerns
I'm
at our
not calling
quarterback.
for
It's
that
not
whatsoever.
out of the realm of the reality. If you were to pivot in some point and have to go young, you're gonna need it to move things around, and you're gonna want to keep a weapon, and Waddle will be that weapon.
Oh, he's more than a weapon. He's a 1,400-yard receiver who does not have very good hands and has elite separation. Like
to me, that was one of the best drafts of all time. The Jalen, and Holland, that is one for the ages right there, bro. It
now
really
out
is.
of those three, are you going to pay him $20 million a year each? That's what it comes down to.
Oddly enough, the one I would take the least, like, to me, it's Jalen Phillips and Waddle neck and neck. Holland, I love the guy. I love his game. I love everything about him. But those two guys, if they fill out the potential I believe they have, you cannot let them leave. I look at both those guys as potential gold jacket guys.
Holland is not going to get Holland. I'll take that back. He won't get $20 million a year as a safety unless he intercepts 8 passes this year.
And
sorry,
for the people that take El Capitan seriously and think that I'm hating, if I was hating, I wouldn't be able to say fair enough, guys. You know what I mean? Like what you're saying about Waddle, okay, fine. You know what I mean? No big deal.
That's
I haven't
right.
even ever been able to get to that point. People are immediately thinking I want to chop the guy, and I don't think I'm not saying he. No, he is. I get what y'all are saying, and ideally, you want that to be a part of your core group of guys.
2024. We're going for it all.
Yeah,
Let me ask you guys. One thing I've noticed about Waddle, we Kat just talked about separation and having the elite speed and all that, but he doesn't have the best of hands. Then get the ball to him as quickly and easily as possible, like with a jet sweep. We didn't do jet sweeps way as much as what we expected.
Ironically, look what he did in the playoff game to make up for the 3 drops. He ran that jet sweep, you know what I mean, that end around or whatever it was, and took it down to the goal line.
I agree with Ali on this too. Is that what you said, Color, is exactly right. They didn't do it often enough. There is no excuse for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to not be getting 20 to 30 handoffs in a season. Okay.
Oh, it's got to happen.
And having seen it at ground level right in the end zone, like, dude, I was at the fence at training camp right behind the end zone when they were doing 5-10 yard out drills, right? And I mean, from even with it being the short side of the field, they gave an end around to Tyreek, and there was no way anybody was going to beat him to that pylon, dude. He just outran the entire team to the pylon, bro.
It's got to be something, and I truly believe the reason why we didn't see it as much is because we did do some shuffling in the O-line. It seemed like, first of all, it was a new scheme. Once they started getting it, on those certain games, I felt like that was something they were going to unveil, but then they had to start shuffling guys and things like that. Second year in this, if this outside zone gets it and linebackers and safeties bite or sit on a fake or something, and they come back around the other side, there's no one on earth that if those two guys are coming around the edge on a full head of steam are going to be able to beat them to the edge if we're inside the 15 or something like that. Those guys are just too quick. They're too fast. So
Yeah, and I mean, we're supposed to just, I guess, this is the common thought is hey, Mike McDaniel first year, he'll fix his issues. Well, I'm sure he will, and my only issue is that that's not what our expectation was set at by the organization, first year or not. Now, I can be fair and say, F the organization. I know what's realistically it's his first year, and I'm on record saying we should have given the guy a 10-year contract because I'm so sick of the revolving door. So I have no doubt that I should say I do have doubts, but I'd like to believe that given another training camp and another off season, I'm hoping that we're not going to be having the discussions this season during the season about, oh, you should have done this and that in the style of play calling that you ran up and down the field. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's just times where, you want to, and even everybody knows how I feel about Tua, but there's even times that during this season where I'm like, what are you doing taking it out of his hands right here in this given spot? You know what I mean? And then vice versa, like, why are you letting him take control of this area when this and that is working right? A lot of this can, why is Tanner Connor in a crucial drive against the Jets? This was with Skyler in the game. You know what I mean? Early in the season. Why is Tanner Connor in a drive that we're trying to, retake the lead on or grow our lead on? You know what I mean? And put the game away. And he's dropping a pass across the middle of the field that's put on a dime. And everybody tells me, oh, well, McDaniel's making to me, it's being galaxy brained because the thought was, oh, well, McDaniel thinks, oh, well, they work together in practice. So because they're both second and third teams. So, the continuity is there. But if that were the case, then why didn't Skyler have a problem throwing a 30-yard strike to Gesicki down the post like 3 or 4 plays later on another drive? You know what I mean? What is Tanner Connor doing in that situation is my to drop the ball is my question.
Go ahead, Ali, and then I wanna move to the next to a couple of things. Go ahead, Ali.
This deals with the Buffalo Bills. I take light on when these things happen, but this is kind of interesting. Stephon Diggs wiped his entire Instagram account of anything that has to do with the Buffalo Bills.
When, today?
Not a single thing on it. Buffalo Bills. Not his title, his job, nothing.
Today,
Bills fans are mad. They're feeling like they're not getting. Bills players are mad.
Dallas was sniffing around. That's
Dallas is trying. I know they've been inquiring about Jerry Jeudy, but are the Bills gonna move? I don't think. Would they even consider moving Diggs? But again, maybe Diggs is being a little bit of a problem child over there. We do know he's a bit of a diva, and we did see
how about the marketing behind the Diggs brothers in Dallas.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Definitely.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. So yeah, any of these other free agent pickups that you think are hold on, I'm gonna drop Steve here in the back. That you think are, guys, I like some of the guys we kept around. I'm hoping they figure out a way to keep Andrew Van Ginkel around here. Hopefully they get that worked out. I like Andrew Van Ginkel. I'd like to see him if Fangio decides to use him as an off-ball linebacker. I think he's got what it takes, and in this scheme to be, one of those dudes. But what outside of Ramsey and Long, what are these other sneaky guys you kind of like, Kat?
As far as Dolphins.
Yeah. Guys we've already gotten in here. Somebody, I know
think
we're looking at
Van
Berrios.
Ginkel's going to move on elsewhere. He's somebody that it's a completely different scheme for him, and I think he's going to get a reasonable contract in that $3-4 million range.
But congrats to him, bro, and thanks for the service because that dude is an RPO killer, man.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm wondering, and I know he didn't come off injury, but Nick Needham didn't get the offers that he thought he was going to get. We ended up getting him back.
Yeah, but he was also coming off a
Yeah, I know.
season-ending injury. Van Ginkel is he's a weird player because he's almost 29 years old now,
Yeah,
and
he's a little bit older.
he's always been known as a scheme-specific type of guy. So can he adjust to a Vic Fangio scheme? I don't think so. I think he's gone.
I don't know. I always wished we could use him as an off-ball linebacker. I think he can come downhill and do run fits and catch tight ends and running backs coming across the middle of the field or out in the flat. I feel like he could do that role in its simplest
He's also
form.
really patient with the gaps, man.
Yeah,
He doesn't
man, I
take
just
the
love
cheese,
the guy.
man.
But I do agree that we could lose him for money and money alone. That somebody will pay him a little bit more.
I just hope
But
he don't go to a
maybe-
rival.
Yeah, I
He's been
hope
talking
he
to
don't
the
end up on the
Patriots.
Patriots.
He's been talking
I
to the
know.
Raiders.
Ugh.
It's we'll see what happens. I was expecting more out of Van Ginkel last year than what he provided. I thought he was going to be that spark plug. He
Yeah, agreed.
just wasn't quite, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But
He may have been washed out a little by the Chubb signing and all that and bringing him in,
yeah, of course. I mean, and he's not somebody that sets a hard edge. He's somebody who flies off the edge and then also drops back into pass coverage.
Right.
In this Vic Fangio type of defense, Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb are the perfect type of guys because they're gonna hold that containment on the edge, but they also have the flexibility to be their size and go back into passing lanes too when the situation calls for it.
Now, how valuable? Because I've looked at a lot of because I ran across This is ironic that I ran across Van Ginkel film when I happened to be doing a deeper dive for myself, studying the actual ins and outs of an RPO style offense. I found these videos that from like these small college and like high school coaches that explain it out and all that, and show you how it's defeated and all this other stuff. And so I find myself watching the Ravens game from from a couple seasons ago, and like Van Ginkel is like implementing all of the stuff that they're talking about that the linebacker needs to do to defeat the RPO like all night, and we're shutting down Lamar Jackson, and I'm like, wow, look at this guy. You know what I mean? And that's when I first kind of got excited about him, and it's just, you're right, he just didn't quite kind of washed out last year. And the thing that concerns me is if you got a team like the Patriots now looking at Lamar Jackson, and we're going to be having to face him twice a year.
Patriots ain't getting Lamar.
Like Capitan said, do you keep him as kind of a murky little style linebacker?
Lamar will do a good old sit-in before he's in the Patriots. I think. Yeah, I just don't think
there's any water to that.
I mean, maybe there's water, but I don't know. But DTA, one of our guys, he put in the private chat in the back that I guess OBJ is all courting the Bills right now. He dyed his hair Bills colors, and maybe that's why Diggs is a little pissed off. Maybe Diggs found out that they're courting OBJ and looking to go cheaper and let him out of here, or maybe he just doesn't like OBJ and doesn't want him on his team, and so it's a little bit of a protest.
See,
he also knows he's the type of guy that can push Dallas over that hump.
See, that's what's great about Tyreek Hill too, is that he is very inclusive when it came to Jalen Waddle the entire time. Like that's why both of them had the yards that they did. I mean, it was really close for them to set the all-time league record for receiving yards in a season for receiving combo.
Yeah,
and if I don't know what Stephon Diggs is a douchebag. He's a complete fucking douchebag.
He's a total fucking asshole, bro.
I mean,
is.
He said, "Oh, I don't know what the problem is, dude. You've been a 12-win team or a 10-win team for the last couple of years here. And you got to the AFC Championship game and you shit the bed. Like,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it. That's the only
That's it.
problem.
That's
He
it.
can go fuck himself.
He
Mhm.
can't, bro. He's a total
Right,
fucking
right.
asshole, and he's just a total prick. I don't like him. I get it. We expect some diva-ness from our wide receivers, but he just doesn't even seem like a team player.
Yeah,
He
he's
really
like,
doesn't.
what's the problem, dude? You won 8 straight. You won for 2.5 months in a row, and then you went into the snow, in against the Bengals in that playoff game, and you didn't play well, and you lost. He's like, I just don't understand what the problem is. Like,
Yeah, the problem may be you.
yeah.
What do you
Oh,
think?
yeah.
Maybe it's
I
you
wish
that's the problem, Diggs.
Stephon Diggs a life of complete unhappiness.
Well,
He thinks
to
he's like
Mr. Diggs,
Jefferson
I
or
would
something.
say there's an old poker adage at the table, that I would refer Mr. Diggs
If you
to.
can't, I know what it is. If you can't find,
if you sit down at the poker table and you can't figure out who the donkey is, it's probably you.
that's right.
Well, he's the donkey holding pocket aces,
That's right.
but
Right,
loses.
right.
That's right. He's like, I had the best odds to win, but I lost.
Yeah, so,
You know.
so I hope that he gets his wish and he goes to another team and they
Mhm.
go 7-9 and he cries himself to sleep. That's what will happen. You were at the brink for the Buffalo Bills of being you're a 1,400-yard receiver. Go with that and try to win a championship next year. What a fucking crybaby.
Mhm.
Beautiful. I agree with that 100%. He
Like how Brian
and,
Cat
I
talks about the Bills
hope they
players.
get OBJ and
It's
Diggs
right
is
in
still
here.
there, and I get to watch that drama fucking show of them two straight
stupid
fucking fist fighting at
crybabies.
practice. You know what I'm saying?
All
You
right.
can see it straight fist fighting at practice, putting out TikTok videos to try to be the cooler, more guy, the whole nine. It'll be great. So let's start looking at the draft. We've been doing this about an hour. Everybody hit the like button if you haven't. Please get the likes up. Subscribe if you're watching somewhere else. Come to YouTube. Subscribe over here. All the good stuff. I'm not going to do the rundown because I don't feel like it. But you guys know, become a member, join, hit the like button, donate, all those good things. It's scrolling at the bottom. Do all those things.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a break for just a second here. If
Okay.
we
Yeah,
could.
you're good. You're good.
But I want to lead it with King DTA and freaking Juju Smith-Schuster. You're exactly right here in the chat.
Mhm.
They substituted Jacoby Myers for Juju Smith-Schuster, and they're like the exact same player. They're not fast enough.
100%.
They're not
Mhm.
happy about it either. The fans there are not happy about losing Jacoby Myers and
So,
bringing Juju.
so before you go, Brian Cat,
I'm happy about it.
Remember that? Remember the very, very first Police Academy movie?
No,
You never saw it?
I remember.
No.
I remember.
I've never watched
All
any. Like if any movie references, I don't.
Okay. Well, for Capitan's purposes, there's a scene in the movie where there's this nutcase character that's like all gun ho, loves like gun nut, military
he's
nut,
like a military
joins the police
guy.
force. His name's Tackleberry, right? And this whole riot happens, and this whole thing goes down where there's a gun battle and all that, and he missed the chance to partake in it. So this other guy finds him there at the end of everything, beating his head on the hood of his police car. And the guy's like, "What's wrong with this man?" He's like, "There was gunplay, sir, and he missed it."
Mm-hmm.
That's like me trying to figure out when Jacoby Myers ever caught a football.
Yeah, he caught a lot of footballs, but he took one of them and threw it back to Chandler Jones for the Raiders in the most embarrassing play in NFL history. And then he signed a 3-year, $33 million contract with those same Raiders.
I love it.
It's incredible.
I love it.
It's
I don't know.
incredible. I'll be right back.
Cat
All right.
pointing out the real game in football, giving a little something to his buddies. He went over there. He missed Josh McDaniels. Did Josh McDaniels the solid, and then got the bag for it. What a move! What a move!
Yeah, I know that was a fairly long way to say I've never actually witnessed Jacoby Myers catch a football.
He's pretty terrible, we'll say.
Well, he went like a
So-
good while without actually catching one when he first got it with the Patriots.
While Cat is, taking a quick break real quick, we'll do the rundown really, really quick. Everybody hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure you're checking out all the great content we have here on the network. Myself with the Fins Tailgate. You got Lou, the Rabid Dolphin, doing middays with DTA. You got color commentary coming at you. DTA also doing the Dolphins debriefs, the shorts, keeping you guys informed. Also, Late Night Exhale being on a pause, but Ali's still going to be doing the broken takes, and he's going to be doing the morning show with him in color coming out here soon. Cash App, Venmo, the Fins Tailgate. Make sure you guys are supporting the channel any way you can. Also, join the membership and go ahead and donate to the channel. We much appreciate that stuff. Link in the description for Fanatics, officially licensed official partners. Fanatics has all your gear for all the stuff, all the sports teams you guys cheer for. Most importantly, the Dolphins, as you guys know. Also, guys, get some of our swag. Get your favorite show, t-shirts. We got more swag coming out, all kinds of good stuff. Gonna always hang on to the OG stuff, but some of the good. And we got some real cool new stuff coming at you here soon. Also, guys, link in the description for Doobie energy drinks. Make sure you guys are getting yourself a doobie while you're doobieing it up. And then offer code TFTG through our friends at Backroom Collections will give you 10% off all of their great one-of-a-kind canvas art. Make sure you guys are checking it out. Whew, got it. Hit the like button, everybody. I mean, we've had over 100 in here for a while. Ain't got 100 likes. Let's get those hundreds up. Let's get to 100 likes, everybody. Make sure to get the likes up. So, I mean, the Dolphins do this as best as they can every year. They try to fill out the roster with perceptive guys that they can then, when they're going in the draft, they don't show their hand. Sometimes they've shown their hand a little bit with running backs, and I just got done saying that. Teams then leapfrog us, take the running back that could have fell in our lap because they're like, hey, Dolphins are going to take a running back. Right now, they could, we brought everybody back. Maybe they've, played possum with that move. But I think it's outside of, some special linebacker or safety that falls at 51. I'm thinking they're going to go either a tackle, they're going to go a running back, or they're going to go with a tight end if one of these tight ends falls that they really like as well. These seem to be some of the positions I'm guessing that they're targeting. We're going to go into some of the different guys that they could be targeting, but let's what do you guys think? Let's start with how about running back? Running back's a flashy thing. I know in the NFL it's not a good time to be a running back because you don't get paid, and you certainly don't get, even after you get your bag. And look no further to Ezekiel Elliott, who just got released. Look no further than Dalvin Cook, has been on the trading block. Look no further than Derrick Henry, who's been on the trading block. All these guys, it's just a hard time to make money. It's long gone are the 90s when running backs were everything on the football team. But it doesn't mean that a playmaker couldn't end up on our roster at the running back position. So if the Dolphins were to take a running back in the second round, Cat, which guys do you think are worthy of a second round pick, and which guys do you think could potentially be there?
One player worthy of pick number 51, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. After that, there is a significant drop off to the next guy when you consider where the Dolphins are in the organization. I like, to some extent, that they re-signed Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson, and because that 1-2 combo combined for it, with a few Savon Ahmed carries in between, combined for 4.92 yards a carry on 392 carries last year in the 2022 season at a very cheap price. So it makes sense why the Dolphins brought those players back. So it would need a star for that to make sense at the running back position for the Dolphins to take somebody at 51. Bijan Robinson is going to go in the first round somewhere. If he falls to the second round, I'm all for trading up for him if you're the Dolphins, because I believe he's a star player. But Jahmyr Gibbs is that second guy. And I'm sure Ali can back me up on that. But after that, there is a huge drop-off as far as where the Dolphins are in their organization. My third guy would be Tyjae Spears, the running back from Tulane. I think he's a Thomas Jones clone, if you remember him from the Jets. He dominated people during Senior Bowl week. I think he's fantastic, but is he somebody that I would take at 51? Probably not. Zach Charbonnet from UCLA, really good power back, but doesn't fit this scheme as a really big, laggy guy, a transfer from Michigan, really productive, and somebody that I think for another team in the NFL, if you draft him in the third or fourth round, he's going to be a really good player for you.
But I mean, then the UCLA kid, real quick, to me, kind of looks like the guy that you're missing in the running back room, though. You know, the guy that after contact, he's kind of a bell cow type of dude. He could do a lot of things. I mean, I guess so. I don't know. Maybe he's not missing. It's kind of the same guy we got with both these dudes, if you want to be real.
I don't think he's somebody who is a elite power back. I think he's like a patient, big type of running back.
What about the kid from Michigan?
Guy from Michigan? Which
Blake Corum.
Blake Corum's not in the draft this year. He went back this past year. Yeah. He's
he
out
did.
Of the draft.
Damn.
That was a last minute type of thing. So he's out.
Really? Damn. I was hoping that guy would be there.
A guy you could have picked up in the draft in the third round with that late third round pick that we have, right? And
Syracuse kid.
No, not Syracuse kid. I know that's a guy that Kat really likes too. But if you didn't re-sign Mostert, it was not a big deal because this guy is Mostert, but younger, more shiftier, and I think he's a better pass catcher personally. And that's Chase Brown. Get Chase Brown in here. He runs almost as fast. He's been clocked almost 23 miles an hour, right? Considered one of the shiftiest running backs in this draft, right? Catches the ball very well, burst to speed. When he runs, you see Mostert all day long. So we could have gotten Mostert almost cheaper than what we paid him and younger. And I don't know why we didn't do that, to be honest.
Ali just coming back with the numbers there on that. And I really like him too. And he's also quite productive. I mean, you're talking about somebody that this past year, 1,643 rushing yards. The year before that at Illinois, over 1,000 rushing yards. So when you combine that production with that, with that 4.4 speed that Ali was talking about, yeah, absolutely. My question is, would you take him in the third round, Ali?
Yeah, is it a reach?
No, I honestly, because of what he did very, very well in the combine, better than I thought he would, right? Because of that, I think the late third round is perfect. If you get him in the early fourth round, it's a steal, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think he is going to be, whoever gets him, I think they're going to be very happy, and he's going to get a lot of production, personally.
I agree. And it comes back to something we talked about in the last episode, too, is that can the Dolphins trade down just a little bit and get a fourth or a fifth round pick?
That would be nice.
It would open up a lot of interesting possibilities if that were the case for somebody like this. And
I mean, maybe a team's looking to trade back out of the fourth round, and we're like, go grab the guy, give the later picks, both of them, whatever. And I think we have a 6th and a 7th left.
Yeah,
after
so the Dolphins pick in the 6th round at pick 178. And I want to highlight that at running back here because if you look back at the last 5 drafts, in 4 of the last 5 drafts, there have been between 14 and 15 running backs drafted before pick 178. And there is so much depth in this running back class that you could get a good player in the 6th or 7th round. And 2 players I want to highlight are Chris Rodriguez from Kentucky, who is not somebody who is, passes the eye test all that much. He doesn't have the computer numbers, but he had a great Senior Bowl week. And he's somebody that you put at the running back spot. He can pass protect really well. He was productive at Kentucky there. And also, somebody else is Zach Evans from Mississippi, a big, long type of running back who has not been really dependable. He was a transfer from Texas Christian University and has never quite put it all together. But at 6'1", 200 pounds, somebody who's, has that legit 4.5 speed, he can make a lot of sense if the Dolphins want to take that risk in the 6th or 7th round.
I like that. I like a move like that. If they decide to go with somebody who's fallen, say they get a nice safety or a O lineman or something like that with the 3rd round pick, then they address it with their 6th, and it's a guy that running back later in the draft or even undrafted free agents. We've seen those guys make this football team time and time again. And you find gems. Actually,
can I give you a diamond in the rough that I honestly think would be very good to pick up, especially you can get them in the 4th round? Because I'm actually predicting
we don't have a 4th round pick. So
no, let me explain. Okay. I'm predicting that the Dolphins are going to trade down from their 51st pick. I honestly think the guys that they all want are not going to be there. They're going to find some sucker to trade down with, only a couple picks, maybe 5 or 6 picks down, and get an extra 4th round out of it or something like that. And there's a guy, and I'm going to give you his name here. Just give me 1 second. There's a guy named Roshan Johnson out of Texas. He backs up Bijan, and he's just as good. I expect he could be taken easily in the 4th round, and he very good speed. I think he's the kind of running back we're kind of missing out of this group, to be honest. He's the kind of running back we're kind of missing out of this group, to be honest. He's the kind of running back we're kind of missing out of this group, to be honest.
The old delay bug.
I'm pretty sure I heard that 3 times from him.
Yeah, I did. I think,
and if he didn't mute himself, we would have heard it about an infinity of number of more times. If we
I think he really
about,
believes in this guy, guys. He's ready to just keep saying it again and again.
Him on Rashawn Robb, because my question is.
Oh, let me fix this.
My question is, he was at Texas for 4 years. And my question is, if he knew Bijan Robinson was the big swing and dick around there, why didn't he transfer?
Tread, maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
Big swing and dick.
I think he's a good late round prospect. I do. I don't find
you baited me right in, Brian.
Yeah, Color says he likes looking at big swinging dick.
Can we? Can we say curse words on here?
Oh, fucking right, we can. Totally, 100%. We're on adult mode in this bitch. This is late night. Fuck around, won't be around.
It's prime time. We're like we turn into Adult Swim like Comedy Central,
Yeah, we were YouTube
and the FCC hasn't fined us yet. So.
Is it fixed? Am I echoing?
Yeah, it sounds better.
It was on my Twitter. Johnson playing through Twitter. That's what happened.
He's 6'2", 222 pounds, listed as a power back.
I think the power back position is the one position we're missing out of this group. And the reason I think this might not be a bad pickup, I mean, he does a lot of things well. When Bijan was down, he filled the role perfectly. And you asked the question, why didn't he transfer? Well, why didn't the last running back that we picked up that was the backup that got drafted before the starter, why didn't he transfer either? That's a good question. What's his name? Who was the last big running back that we got? He ended up playing
Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake was the backup.
Kenyon Drake, yeah,
that's right.
And the difference too is that for me is that Kenyon Drake had a lot of speed and size
and special teams too.
Yeah, he had a lot of different things, and I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but that's a concern for me, and that's why I look at him as more of a late round prospect in the 6th or 7th round. But I understand the allure of him being,
Well, I kind of wonder sometimes with running backs in college. Like these guys get used a lot certain times. Like Bijan, these guys, they take a beating, and sometimes the dude that plays second fiddle, a la Ronnie Brown, end up being the better in that room. Not that I think Bijan's going to be the second fiddle in the NFL, but just you wonder if sometimes if the tread left on the tire serves these guys better for an NFL career. Sometimes we've seen it happen. So maybe if we can pick them up in the later rounds, with a 5th or a 6th, because we have the 6th, or maybe we get a 5th or even a 4th if it's far enough down the draft board from going back at some point. Maybe it'd be a nice guy to get there. To me, if we're picking up someone in the 4th, I'm getting the Syracuse kid. I think he'll be there in the 4th. I think it'll be a perfectly placed pick for that guy, but is what it is. I'll be happy as long as they get a running back that I can perceive that's going to come in here and shake the room up a little bit.
See, I honestly think based on what happened at the combine and what we've seen at pro days, both Sean Tucker and Chase Brown, those are my two guys that I can see us drafting very easily. Both those guys are going to be gone at the end of the 3rd. That's what I'm predicting. So that's
You're crazy, bro.
Yeah,
that's a lot of running backs in the 3rd round.
I'm telling you.
I'm sorry. I completely agree with you on that. And one thing I think in this entire draft is that after Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, I think there is a massive drop off, especially in the Dolphins scheme, where there's not a lot separating the 3rd running back from like even the 17th running back. And I'm not, exaggerating on that. I mean, someone like Chase Brown or Dwayne McBride, I could easily see them being there in the 6th round. Not all of them, but the lower half of that, I could see them being there, and that's where I think the value would be.
So let's go to the next position that will run up and down the board a little bit that I can see the Dolphins. I mean, look, there's plenty of rumors, and I've heard it a lot, that the Dolphins are super high on Washington. And I say, yes, they probably are. So are a lot of other teams. I don't see Washington being there at the 51st pick. I don't know if he'll even make it in the 2nd round in striking distance for them to trade up to grab him. It does seem like we could totally use another tight end on this team right now. I know we just got the kid from Denver who on the 1-year deal. I know he's a bit of a blocking tight end, which is good enough. But let's take a look at this tight end class anyhow. I'll throw it to Ali first if you want, Ali. What tight end do you think you can see sitting around here that the Dolphins could take interest in?
I kind of like Sam Laporta personally. He's 245 pounds, 6'3", runs about a 4.59. I could see us looking at a guy like that. I think Michael Mayer, Darnell Washington, Dalton Kincaid, I see those guys being gone before our pick, to be honest. But I think you could actually get Sam Laporta in the 3rd round, possibly. Even though that's a possibility. In the Big Ten usually puts out good tight ends anyway. That's kind of I usually pick my tight ends out of the Big Ten.
100% agree on Laporta. If he were there in the third round, that would be a really good value pick. And I'm interested to see where some of these tight ends fall because Michael Mayer has always been a projected top 15 pick. And then when he was 6'6", 270 and ran a 4.8 and did not test out very well, people started to back off that, and I was one of them. I think he's a good player. He's a solid player, but is he much better than just a good blocking tight end who can offer a little bit more in the passing game? I'm not sure. Dalton Kincaid is my number one tight end in this draft. If he fell to the early second round and the Dolphins thought he was special and they traded up for him, trading up for a tight end would not make a lot of sense, but I would somewhat applaud that move.
Here's the reality of it. And I don't mean to cut you off, Kat. I'm sorry about that. But
go for it.
If you look at the elite tier of tight ends in the league today, Travis Kelce, Waller, who just went to the Giants, right? Let's see, there's Andrews, which I'm not sure about Andrews. I have to check. But you go back and look, these guys that are considered the top tier of tight ends were not first round draft picks.
Oh, they were far from it, and you're exactly right. Because you look at Kelce was a third round pick. Darren Waller was a sixth round wide receiver convert out of Georgia Tech.
He washed out there. Didn't he wash out there for a second because he had some problems? He was the second coming.
It is a traits-based position, and Jimmy Graham caught 17 passes in Miami. And Antonio Gates did not play college football. He was a power forward.
Yep.
You're talking about it is such a position at tight end where the top guys drafted in the first round, like David Njoku and OJ Howard and these types of guys over the last 10 years have not lived up. And then the historically great tight ends have been third round picks or undrafted free agents. It's crazy with tight ends.
Even when you get in the second round, a lot of these guys haven't lived up. I mean, we have one ourselves with Mike Gesicki. Yeah, he was good, but he never became anything more than he was in college. And in the tight end role, he didn't become, a little bit heavy anchored and got better at the blocking like we had hoped. And so,
there's something
I have a question.
You guys notice throughout the years, like even now, the tight ends that are elite guys like Kelce, them types, it just seems so easy for them to do. It's almost like, why could a tight end ever bust out? What do they get? What did they get? Guys like that understand that these others don't,
because they're blocking all the time and effectively, and it gets defenses to take their eye off them as the pass catcher. So when they come out, it's a soft throw. It lands.
Yeah, and I'm asking exactly. I'm asking a rhetorical question.
They're downfield asking DBs to friggin' take these big bastards down, and you can't.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the job of the scout, is to find out which one of these tight ends gets whatever Kelce gets. You know what I mean?
What do you guys
for any of these guys?
He's mentally a different guy. There's a reason why his brother was drafted 2 years before him, and from the same college. Travis Kelce was a third round pick out of Cincinnati in 2013. His brother, Jason Kelce, was a sixth round pick in 2011. There's something different in that family. But as far as the tight end position in general, what it comes down to for me is that you have to learn as a young kid to learn how to play offensive line and wide receiver at the same time. That's why all of these guys fail. But when it comes down to Darnell Washington, 6'7", 270 pounds, runs a 4.64, has hands bigger than you'll ever see. There is a interesting line between, is he a
He's a
blocking
monster.
tight end who's going to catch 25 passes a year, or is he actually special?
He's a
And
monster, bro. The guy is a monster. If he becomes clicking in the passing game in the NFL like he did in certain snaps in college, that guy is a monster. I don't see how he falls to us, honestly.
I
I
think
think someone's gonna grab him.
I think he is sloppy in his run blocking technique, but I also think to myself that I'm overthinking him at times too.
Do you think he's one of those players, if he falls to the 51st pick, that Miami
They
can't?
run to the board.
Do you
They
think?
run to the board.
Do you think they have to grab him or no?
I'm not there yet, to be honest.
I think they run to the board personally. I think they can't pass it up, especially right now, having an open tight end position. And what do they got? They got Tanner Connor. I think they like his upside. Maybe they still keep him on the roster or something like that, or try to sneak him on the practice squad with a guy like Tanner Connor still on the team. And the dude they just signed, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, I'm sure there's not a ton of money.
The thing about Connor is you get the ball in his hands in open space. He's got such a long stride that he's eating up yards in like a couple steps, very Gronkish like in that regard.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I agree with you. It's just, again, nobody's secure if you can get a big bastard like that over here in that position. Dude, he's a monster.
Yeah. What it comes down to is that if you believe Darnell Washington is legitimately a sixth offensive tackle with 4.64 speed, with what he can do and what he showed at the combine, then you draft him at 51. I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking for 3 targets a game, then none the next game, then 6 in another game, and you use them that type of way, I think he can be super effective, especially against specific opponents that you'll go against, where they're looking at the tape this week and all they see is him blocking all week, and you got a lot of lighter, faster guys out there. And then all of a sudden he's catching the ball 5-8 yards downfield, and you're asking safeties and DBs to try to take him down, and he's putting a work on him.
Yeah, basically where he's reporting in as a receiver, extra receiver every single play, but never running around, and then it's that one time when nobody thinks any different. He already reported he's not illegal, you know what I mean? And boom.
Ali, I want to know what you think about the Ohio State kid that's coming out. I don't know much about
Ali's guy or at receiver or tight end. You talking?
No, the tight end.
Oh, okay.
Stover.
Oh, okay. Well, wait. Hold on. I thought he held back. I don't think he's in the draft.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he held back.
He would have been the guy I'd target, because I think he's a great blocking and catching tight end. I think he's very well balanced, and he's almost like a Dalton Schultz style of player personally.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
What about later in the draft? Anybody you think they'll take a flyer on? We just got through talking about how some of these guys are picked, they're forgotten about, but then they're the dudes that figure it out. What do you think? Maybe someone with the 3rd round, somebody, later, if they end up picking up a 4th or a 5th rounder. I doubt you find a guy in the 6th round that you believe can be anything more than a blocking guy in a project. But anybody you could see being a little bit ladder in there, Ali, Cat, Color, anybody coming to mind?
Well, if Mr. Ross has his way in the 6th round, we could take Luke Schoonmaker. I mean, that's a guy.
The name I'm looking for, Joe put it here, Mallory. What do you think about Mallory with that 6th round pick, or maybe even a 7th if he falls all that?
6th or 7th, absolutely, because you're talking about somebody who's played a lot of college football and is 6'5" plus, 250 pounds, and runs a 4.54. And he did not live up to the billing this past year. But yeah, you're talking about 6th or 7th round, 100%.
I think he gets drafted. I think he gets drafted. So I don't
he'll
think this
definitely
is
get
a
drafted.
Yeah, I
He'll-
think this isn't a guy that's going to fall to an undrafted dude. I think someone picks him up.
Yeah,
So-
he's going to get drafted.
I agree with you there. I think he gets picked up by somebody. Ali, what do you think? Mallory, anybody else coming to mind?
Yeah, Ali, who is the and Ali will get this reference because Ali and I share a certain
You guys both got that piece of the lizard brain.
well, no, actually what I mean is from last year, him and I actually nailed one of the picks at running back that we never even had our sights on, but the guy ended up turning out and having a couple breakout games and looks like he's going to pan out as a decent back in the NFL. And we ended up being right about that. We haven't patted ourselves on the back about it until now. But so I'm going to ask Ali, who in the tight end category?
Who are you talking about? Don't leave
I'm
us
gonna
with the
tell you right
cliffhanger.
now.
What guy
I'm
are
gonna
you
tell
talking
right
about?
now? Who in the tight end category, Ali, is this year's Tyler Algiers?
See, the issue I have with this question, Color, outside of those tight ends in this group, to be honest, they're either great catching tight ends or they're great blockers. There's not a lot that I feel is a good balance of both, in my opinion.
Right.
Even
Don't weasel out of it now,
What
Ali.
a
Give us the
perfect
damn name.
response to that question.
Weaseling out. Well, like, what the
You
fuck
know,
was
he's
that?
learning
Dude?
from.
Don't
Hey,
weasel.
remember
Give
what I
us the
say?
fucking name.
A
Ali.
fan base is always a reflection of the team, and that was very, very well put. Well thought out, Mike McDaniel-esque answer. Thank you very much, Ali.
But listen, the guy that I like, Sam Laporta, he has an amazing receiving tree, like wide receiver tree. He can do every wide receiver route in addition to tight end routes, right? In fact, I think he's like comparison to Gesicki, but he runs routes much better in my opinion. So but the question is can he block? And even when you go to Darnell Washington, a lot of people say, yeah, he can really block. But is he really good at running the routes and catching the ball? You know what I mean? You have these questions about every single tight end. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Kat.
That is not a cop-out answer. What an amazing answer to that question. I don't even come on the show. That is exactly right. Because Michael Mayer is an amazing blocker and did not test well. Darnell Washington is obviously a giant, lumbering, 6'7", 270-pound guy.
270.
Luke Musgrave is basically the reincarnation of Mike Gesicki, but a little bit of a better blocker and doesn't have as much body control.
He's a name there. I like him.
Kincaid, I mean, there is no deep sleeper tight. You shouldn't be looking for a deep sleeper tight end because you already have that on your team with Tanner Connor.
Right.
True that.
Tanner Connor is better than any developmental tight end in this group. Ali, I got your back, man.
Yeah, and exactly, Brian, and I don't want anybody to confuse my criticism of him dropping that ball. I don't think he should have been in on that particular play in that crucial situation. That was a coaching decision I was criticizing.
You also
I actually love
Color
the
is a hater.
Connor.
Color hates Tanner Connor. You're a hater, Color.
No,
That's
I
okay.
actually love his potential. I think the guy's just a beast. I mean, and we get the ball in his hands, and he can really wreck a lot of DBs, man.
That's right.
But just to clarify to Dolphins Realtor in the chat, I know Tyler Algiers is a running back. I'm just saying that Ali and I kind of personally put as a team kind of put a lot of effort into scouting him out last year in the running back class. And he was never even like in our radar. And we go and draft certain guys where you're like, well, why didn't you just pick up this guy over here? And then, of course, a couple games this year for Atlanta, he busts out and has a great, breakout performance and, above average performance. And it looks like he's going to kind of be a decent guy.
And El Capitan beated the horn for and smacked the table. I was ready to break my computer for. We didn't draft, and that's Damian Pierce. We should have drafted.
Him too.
We would have
We
our
fucked
starting
up by not getting that guy. We wouldn't be talking shit right now. That man would have been killing it.
I like
Piss me off, bro.
And the thing, Brian Cat, about Tyler Algiers is he actually he fits our scheme. Like that's what he was running in college. That's partly why Ali and I had singled him out and kind of fixated on him.
Yeah, and when you look at the two guys you talked about, they were late 4th and 5th round picks.
Exactly.
And they come from very different backgrounds because Dameon Pierce never got even 110 carries in a season at any point in college. So he had fresh legs, but everybody knew the talent was there. That's why the Florida coach was
That's why he
fired.
lost his job. He was terrible.
Right.
Feed
And
that
don't
man
get me
the
wrong.
football, bro.
Don't get me
Terrible
wrong. I like
coaching.
me some Cameron Good. We definitely needed as many linebackers as we can get, but he never even saw the field.
Yeah, they
And
didn't do enough.
Tyler Algier was a different guy because at BYU he had over 1,700 yards in his final year.
Mm-hmm.
But he also did not stand out in one particular category, but he was very good at running the ball north to south and having very good instincts on that.
Yeah.
So,
Which translates to good cutback, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
and also, you're talking about Dameon Pierce in the 4th round. You're talking about Tyler Algier in the 5th round, Isaiah Pacheco in the 7th. These were big-time running backs in the NFL last year.
Yep.
And that tells you
At least comparable to the ones we had in our room.
So El Capitan has nailed it in that if you manufacture a 5th or 4th or 5th round pick, you're probably going to get a pretty decent running back just based on what we've seen in the past.
Yep. And these guys, they're serviceable. They know how to play the position, and they got tread on the tires. You can find steals in those middle rounds at the running back position. And if the Dolphins decide to even reach a little bit with the 3rd round pick, I'm not going to be too mad at it because we've seen a lot of production come out of these younger guys, and it just feels like it's time. It's been forever since we've drafted a guy. We traded for Jeff Wilson last year when we could have taken a 5th round pick the year before and probably got a guy and not needed to trade for Jeff Wilson. We went and paid Chase Edmonds. He didn't even make it through the year. Enough is enough. Get a young dude. It's a young man's game when in the running back position. Not that I'm not opposed to the guys we brought back, but these younger guys, they catch fire. They're running scared. Give me a young guy with the football in his hand that's strong enough to take hits and play football and hold that ball through traffic and run afraid. Ain't nobody runs as fast as they run as when they run scared. That's just how it goes.
Well, I'm really glad we locked up Jeff Wilson because I think Jeff Wilson should be part of our core group. But still, the other guys we locked up, man, I'm having a hard time with Ahmed, man. I mean, I know he brings a certain skill set when he does take that corner. But God, it's like
he's got those special skills that I think McDaniel really seeks. So
he runs too tall for my taste, man.
He does.
This is where I'm gonna disagree with you guys here. Is that I have so little respect for the running back position, and the Dolphins do too.
I agree with that. Really, honestly,
the entire. I mean, let's be honest. 80%.
I agree with you.
My league has no.
I agree with you, Kat, but it would just complete the offensive weapon firepower to couple with the defense this one time. That's all.
But if there's an elite running back that we can get, then I am all for it. If you're talking about Bijan Robinson because he's a running back falling to the early 2nd round, all for trading up for him. Jamar Gibbs, like Ali and I have talked about, 100% would take him at 51. I don't care who's on the roster. I really don't. But after that, there is such a drop-off. Sean Tucker is a good fit in the offense. I don't think he's a special talent. He's a one-cut runner. I think he's a good fit. But that's it. But the offensive line is what you need to fit or what you need to take care of here. And right tackle and left guard are those positions,
Way to segue into the next
I got a guy for you, Kat. I got a guy for you.
Let's go. Tackle.
Cat. No, yeah. Well, let Cat go first. Let him go first.
Okay.
By the way, to supplement what Kat's saying, real quick before we move on, I had OpenAI write me an article the other day about the West Coast offense, describing the West Coast and its histrionics and all that, right? And one of the things it pointed out was that it seriously diminishes the importance of the running back.
It does.
It's not that the running game isn't utilized. It's that the individual, quote unquote, bell cow running back, the importance of that is almost next to nothing.
Yeah. And if you think about the difference between with the same blocking offensive line, what is the difference between a healthy Miles Sanders and a healthy Raheem Mostert? Nothing.
Nope.
You know?
Yeah, I guess
For a
not.
healthy Tyreek Hill. I mean, we know their skill level difference. I'm talking about
wide receiver to me is a completely different thing because it just spread things out and hand the ball off. Running back is not hard to do
because you're supplementing the
about
running
getting
game
these-
with a short passing game, timing passing, rhythm passing game anyway.
Well, no, I think more along the lines, it's more important to make sure that your outside zone where your tackles are getting downfield and setting far away edges for these guys to hit downfield and pick, to come in, bounce out, or, go straight up the gut.
Yep.
You kind of just make it a little easy. So let's go with the tackle position. What are we thinking? Is there anybody worth a shit gonna be there at the second round pick that could fall to us, Cat?
Oh yes.
Let's hear it.
There is captain for sure.
So the key thing is to set the stage for the offensive tackle position. There are going to be 3 guys that are going to be off the board in the first 20 picks. And that's Peter Skorowski from Northwestern. He may, because of his arm length, go to guard. In fact, he should go to guard, and he's going to be a top 10 to 15 pick. Paris Johnson from Ohio State is a clear-cut top 20 pick. And the third guy is Broderick Jones from Georgia. Those 3 guys are going to be in the first round. Let's take them off the board completely. Then there are 2 guys that may make it to 51, and they may cure problems. One of them here, who I don't think is going to make it there, is Darnell Wright from Tennessee. He is a right tackle that he didn't do very well up until this past year, but he got to a point where he shut down Will Anderson. And he's going to be going to be a top 50 pick. And when you look at the Tennessee Volunteers program, they haven't beat Alabama since 2006. And he went up against Will Anderson one-on-one all game and shut him down. So you're talking about somebody who in his final year was fantastic. He's going to go somewhere between picks 20 and 40. And if he can fall into the early second round, the Dolphins can cure their offensive tackle position at right tackle. The other guy is really massive and really interesting, DeJuan Jones from Ohio State, because he is 6'8", 375 pounds.
Okay.
He is a great zone blocker, even though he has a massive size. But the question
that's the guy I'll
why the hell are you 3? He was listed at Ohio State at 355 pounds.
He's 374 pounds. Go ahead.
So he was listed at 355 pounds, and then he weighed in at 375. So why are you 375?
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Brian, but Fred and I because I've been waiting for this for a month or so, and I promised him. Fred happened to be walking like near me somewhere out, like on our way back to the car at the football game, and recognized my voice and asked me if I was color, and asked me who I met, and realized who I was, and told me he watches the show and he was a fan, and told me he would say something in chat. And here he is, a couple months later, finally say it. Fred, shout out to Fred, says, "Remember, I met you after the game. I do remember you, buddy, and appreciate."
What's up, Fred?
Welcome, buddy.
Hell yeah. That's the tailgate, digital tailgate to the literal tailgate.
That's the first person who's ever recognized me in public, Brian.
So,
I understand your concerns, but let me give DeJuan Jones the greeting he deserves. So, man,
spoken like a true Ohio State fan. Go ahead.
He's not a right tackle. He's not an offensive lineman. He is a mountain. His nickname is the Mountain for a reason. 6'8", 355 to 374 pounds, massive hands, right? He has a 7.5 foot wingspan, right? The guy has arms like clubs. It looks like Godzilla compared with big ass arms compared to Eichenberg, right? And the guy is devastating at run blocking, great speed, like huge. It like throws people around like rag dolls. Looks like the Hulk playing offensive lineman. Put this guy in. The only concern I have, and it's only as a joke, really. Can our quarterback see over this guy? Because this guy is so big.
No one can see over a mountain, Ali.
I'm telling you, go watch the highlight reel. And I know it's just highlights, but go watch him. The guy looks like a giant playing with high schoolers. That's what it looks like.
And here's the thing too. He's not a fat slob. And
No,
that's
yeah,
what on tape. That's what I love about him, because he is. And I'm not sure if how old you are, Ali, but I go back to the 2014 draft and I look at a player, Morgan Moses, stuck in the league for 10 years, where it was so overthought with Morgan Moses is that he was a really good zone blocker. He was so massive, and people forgot at the end of the day, it takes so long to run around this guy. And DeJuan Jones is the same guy. I actually think DeJuan Jones is a better prospect than Morgan Moses was.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
And I honestly think we can get him possibly with that third round pick. We may not have to get him at 51, to be honest. And the reality is, I don't know, man. This guy just looks like a beast among men, and I would love to see this guy in the field. Like I said, the college players look like high schoolers playing against him. That's how big he is compared.
And what I was I honestly, when I looked at him, Ali, I was looking for a fat slob. I didn't expect anything, and for him to be as technical as he was at the right tackle position at that size was shocking to me. So I not only would I take him in the third round, I would take him at 51, given where the Dolphins are at right tackle.
Oh, wow. I have him in the third round, 51. Okay. All right. The only concern I have with him, I've given all of his praises, and I still think he could definitely make an effect in this team completely. The only concern that Captain brought up is, does he have the balance? And the thing is that, I could see there could be some issues with that, but if he maybe gets his body, maybe loses a little bit of weight, gets his body a little bit more to where it needs to be, I think he can coach out of that, not a problem. That's the point.
I just worry about those mountain guys reaching. You know what I'm saying? Because they reach out, try to get those guys. They get swiped a lot. They get moved a lot. Color. He's got a freaking thing on his. They're gonna be taller.
No worries.
I'm not saying he can't do it. I would just be interested to see if it does happen.
Wall, if you got this guy, or the mountain would be our offensive line. It'd be like, who's manning the wall? Because like seriously, this guy is that big, dude. It's ridiculous.
And I go back to 375 pounds and how well he can move. And 375 is not a great thing, but if he can lose a little bit of weight, like his technical skills are so much there. And when you take, you're talking about Tua, who needs to be protected. If you put Robert Hunt at right guard, and DeJuan Jones at right tackle. Pass protection skills are all I care about between that mountain of a wall. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. I don't know.
I understand. I understand where you're going with it. Did you guys have anybody else that you guys liked as an offensive tackle, captain or Connor?
So I'm thinking about later rounds because I don't know. I don't know if any of these dudes will be there, and I'm looking to maybe in the 3rd round pick, and I'm wondering about the kid out of who probably won't be there. He might be a guy that you might have taken the 2nd round, which may be a little bit of a reach. But the North Dakota kid, Cody, is it Match or Mach or something like that?
Cody Mock, and he is interesting because he is a guard or center because he can play all 5 line positions. He played tackle at North Dakota State.
He's a convert. He's a convert at wide receiver, or excuse me, at tight end. When he came there, he's a 6-year senior. He came in as a tight end, gained weight, came in at 211, gained up. Now he's over 300. Now plays tackle, can probably, like you say, play guard. The guy is interesting to me. I think he's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of movement. I like that he's a little bit older because those guys seem to be well read and ready to plug in and play and make an impact right away. Another guy is the kid Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. He's another senior, 6'6", 335 pounds. He really does have a little bit of consistency problem. But you already talked about him, didn't you?
Yeah. Darnell Wright is unlikely to fall to 51. But Cody Mock is interesting because I think you could plant him right in at left guard. My comparison for him is kind of that cultish Quinn Miners type of situation from a couple of years ago, where he's so country strong. And if you are looking for a position that you can insert somebody into, that I think you could have Teron Armstead at left tackle, Mock at left guard, Connor Williams at center, and Robert Hunt at right guard. And you still need to figure out right tackle. Hopefully Austin Jackson is that guy. I don't think he will be, but you've got 4 of the 5 offensive line positions figured out.
Yeah, and shout out to John with the $5 donation. He's saying that Jones will be long gone, and he's got Mock in his list of guys here. What about these other 2? Schmitz, or is it Schmitzy?
Oh, I'll take those. So Bergeron from Syracuse was a left tackle, could play right tackle, could play left guard, and I think his best position is also left guard. He is very, very strong. 6'5", 318 pounds, outstanding frame, and nasty as well. John Michael Schmitz and Joe Tippmann are centers. So the question becomes from that point with John Michael Schmitz and Tippmann, would you want to improve the center and the left guard position with 1 draft pick in the 2nd round? Because if you do, then I think you can.
I like that move, and I think it's a smart move because then you give yourself some flexibility. We have seen Connor; he played really good at center, but if he doesn't get those high snaps down, he could become a real liability really quick. And if you don't want to let him go, he's played really well at center. But if you have to, and you have somebody plug in at center and kick him back out to left guard, or bring that person in to play left guard opposite or next to him, I really feel like it's a hole being fixed. I know the dude we brought in from the Jets is a guy that I think is going to be trying to be plugged in that position. But listen, young guys come in all the time and take the job of somebody that just got some money, and that would be a good problem to have around here.
And I would normally not want to draft a center in any situation, but I think John Michael Schmitz and Joe Tippmann are 1st round caliber prospects. And because of that is the only reason I'd be interested in moving Connor Williams to left guard. You're exactly right. El Capitan here is Connor Williams was a great pickup. He was
Sweet.
a fantastic center, even with the missed snaps.
Mhm.
But if you can take a Joe Tippmann and a John Michael Schmitz, put him at center, and move Connor Williams to left guard, where he was fantastic the year before with the Cowboys, you improve 2 positions at one time.
Let me ask you about Mock. Does the arm length concern you? Because that was a big knock on Eichenberg
As far as a tackle or a guard,
as a guard.
not necessarily as a guard or a center,
Okay.
which he's played, but tackle, I would not blame him tackle at all.
You wouldn't play him as tackle.
I could see him.
No,
I could see
no.
him being really good as like the pulling guard, getting to the second level. He was always mauling people in the second level.
That's kind of
I
why
like that.
like
but-
going back to Joe, I like his long length arms that he has. They're like more than 36 inches long. That's kind of why I want that style of tackle that has the long arms. I don't want I think that's the biggest issue with Eichenberg playing right tackle is the fact that he has these shorter arms. I think he's better at guard personally, but
You are speaking directly to my heart here, Ollie.
The gospel.
And I'll
over
tell you
here.
why. Because Liam Eichenberg in the 2021 draft is somebody I had nowhere on the radar, very simply because of his arm length. And the whole thing with Liam Eichenberg in that draft was that he didn't allow a sack in the last year and a half at Notre Dame, which was fine. But I thought, okay, he either has to play tackle and not allow sacks or move into guard and be strong. He's been neither.
Yeah,
Liam
he don't have
Eichenberg-
the ass to hold that guard position like you'd want him to, man. Maybe he gets it this offseason. He'd be eating ho-hos and stuff, trying to put some junk in his trunk because he needs that anchor. We see him all too often get blown the fuck up. I hate it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. And that's the only frustrating thing with me with this team right now, because I'm so excited about that. I mean, how could you not be? Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard at cornerback, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle at wide receiver, Tua, if he stays healthy and he doesn't have head problems in September. You've got 12 to 13 players on offense and defense who are fantastic. Left guard and right tackle, I don't know why they're sticking with these 2 guys, but they also have time to fix that.
Yeah,
I agree.
it is concerning. It is some things I think we all worry about, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know, man. I don't see how Austin Jackson gets
I'm going
it
to give you
figured out.
I'm going to give you some more names here.
Yeah, let's hear him.
Matt Bergeron from Syracuse is somebody that has the arm length. He's over 33 inches. But I see him as a movable, nasty type of player at the left guard position if the Dolphins draft him at 51. Steve Avila from TCU has unbelievable movement skills as a center or guard who is going to go somewhere in that second to third round range. His hand placement is nasty. It's terrible. But he's played center, guard, and if he is able to get this corrected this upcoming year, he could be fantastic at left guard, and he could complete 4/5 of the Dolphins' offensive line. So there is a lot of it. What it keeps coming back to for me is that at pick 51, I see a value pick at offensive line if the Dolphins are able to lean into that.
Yeah, I really hope. I mean, look, they can get a guard, they could get a center, they could get a tackle, and any one of those guys could fall to them at the 51st pick. That could be somebody they could perceive to be a day one starter.
Did you say how
Whether that works out that way, yet to be seen. But
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but did you say how how do you rate Weipler from Ohio State? What do you think of him?
I like him as a third or fourth round prospect.
Mm-hmm.
I see the players that I talked about: John Michael Schmitz, Joe Tippmann, Steve Avila as more premier prospects. I see Weipler as a good player, but not somebody that I would supplant Connor Williams at the center position for, if that makes sense.
Well, I was just thinking about it because, even moving him to left guard, you wouldn't consider it?
Consider it maybe at the end of the third round with that pick, if he's willing to make that. But no, probably not even with that pick, because
You wouldn't move Connor over and put Weipler in that center with the third round pick then.
I wouldn't, because you have to go up against against Quinnen Williams head to head in center in that same position. I don't feel comfortable with him on that. He's a good center prospect, and he's going to be taken somewhere in the third or fourth round, in my opinion. But the only reason
the Florida kid is going to fall to him, right?
Which player? I'm sorry.
The guard from Florida.
That's a different conversation. Osiris Torrance is the best interior lineman in this draft.
Yeah, he ain't making it out of the first.
Yeah, there's a difference. Weipler is a good player. He's a good prospect. But I don't think the Dolphins are moving the needle if they take him in the second or third round.
What about the kid from SC, Andrew Voorhees? He's just a true left guard. I think, would he be a plug and play type of guy?
He would be, but he tore his ACL. So
he did. Fuck. Yeah. Damn.
Otherwise, he would. He was somebody I was going back and forth on, where he didn't have a lot of upside, but plug and play was the word I was thinking about. Not a lot of positional versatility, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it's really a shame with him.
What about the kid from Washington?
Jackson Kirkland.
Yeah.
So last year at tackle, he went up against Kayvon Thibodeau and got destroyed. And he's gotten destroyed a lot of times at tackle since then.
Well, they're projecting him as a guard now, maybe he'd be a little bit better. But we've seen that kind of stuff where those guys don't have the anchor from moving to tackle the guard. Do you think he'll?
Yeah, so he is projected solely as a guard right now. So I like him more as a prospect, kind of in that third to fourth round area.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think. Maybe we can grab him with our third rounder or something.
Yeah, he's not somebody in a zone blocking scheme who projects to be really good. He's a serviceable player as a guard swing tackle, kind of in that fourth to fifth round area.
I got enough of those guys. Fuck them.
Yeah.
I got enough of those guys, dude. Fuck them. I don't need him.
Yeah, so and that's the thing about the interior line position here, is that I see a lot of top level talent that is attractive in the second and third round, but I don't see a lot of it in the fourth or fifth round. I'm not sure how Ali feels about that.
What do you think, Ali?
I kind of think there's like a drop off after like the third round of like the tackles that I like. Like I think you can get value players, which we have too many of those, to be honest. I think you can get more in like the fifth and sixth round areas. I don't know. I don't think this was the best class, in my opinion, when it comes to offensive linemen. I think there's a lot of tackles, and then there's not like very many guards I like, to be honest. I don't know. I could go either way with that. That's just my opinion, though.
100% agree, as usual, Ali. I've got a couple of guards, Osiris Torrance, and the reason I bring him up, Al Capitan said, as What would you think if, say, Osiris Torrance fell to pick number 51, which you probably won't, and then you take him there, and then you move Robert Hunt to right tackle?
Oh
Would
my
that be-
God. I would love that, bro. That would be so good.
I think that is something I would even trade up for, because he is such a mauler, but he's only a right guard, and he's not. He's somebody that is scheme versatile, but he's also more of a zone type of guard, because he can run down the field and maul people, but he can also hold the point of attack. If you take that and move Robert Hunt to right tackle, I just want some big fat guys who are productive guarding Tua.
Give me
That's
someone
it.
mean as hell. That guy, he looks mean as hell on tape, the kid out of Florida. I want
I
that.
like him too.
If he's in striking distance in the second round, Dolphins, don't fuck it up. Go up and get the guy. Or if he somehow falls in your lap, don't make the mistake by missing this guy.
And if you want to watch anything, just Google Georgia defensive line versus Florida offensive line. You will see Osiris Torrance doing a great job against Jalen Carter, who is up until a couple of weeks ago was the consensus number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, he couldn't finish his drills today, or was it a couple days ago, from what I heard. Like he was cramped.
He looked bad as shit.
Yeah, he's trying to fall down the draft board to a better football team, is what it sounds like. These players play the game. I know what they're doing.
So I've got to take off here in a second, but here's one question I have for you guys, and this is more of a historical question. What was the most pissed off you ever were on draft day when a draft pick was announced for the Miami Dolphins? And what was the most happy you ever were?
Okay, I got it. When we took Long instead of Ryan, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Not that I didn't like Long, but it just didn't make sense to get a blocker for no answer at quarterback. So I was really pissed about that. I was happy at his production, but look where it ended in the end. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he stuck around for a decade. He ended up getting injured. Sorry for him. He was super productive when he was here, but I don't know. And what was the other question?
And what was the happiest you were after the pick was announced?
So I'll just go to recent memory. I was so elated that we took Waddle and took Phillips. If I had this channel before that draft, you would have heard me, like everyone else in my family and all my friends heard me. These boys better take Waddle and better get Jalen Phillips. I totally looked at these guys. I was super high on both of them. To me, Jalen Phillips will wear a gold jacket one day. I think Waddle may, but Jalen Phillips will. You know what I'm saying? I'm dead serious. I think if it ever fully clicks and he just has that temperament that he wants to be great, I really believe it, man.
I agree.
I fucking love that fucking guy, bro. I love everything about what he does, what he's asked to do, what we drafted him for, everything. I wanted that guy on my team so fucking badly. I was so elated, bro.
And for the same reason, I was high. He's the first guy that in the history of me watching this team that I was actually high on, and is a Hurricane that we actually drafted. We usually don't draft Hurricanes, believe it or not, and it was just like, wow, they actually picked the guy I wanted. I couldn't believe it. Now, as far as upset, I've really never found myself really disliking any particular pick because I'm so indifferent to draft picks. They could all go either way. You know what I mean? No matter what round they're drafted in. I kind of all looked at them as like I've always felt encouraged by whoever we've drafted, even when they've turned out to be busts.
Don't weasel out of it, Color.
No. I'll
Don't
tell you
weasel
though.
out of it.
I'll tell you
got
where I was
somebody.
upset though. I was upset that we didn't take a chance on a guy like Lamar Jackson in that draft. I really wasn't on board with the whole tanking thing. I wanted to just go ahead and seal the deal and take a chance on the guy like Lamar Jackson, like the Ravens did. I didn't want them to have a chance to pick him up and at 30th or whatever they did. You know what I mean? And I think we should have just cleaned it up and done it then. And I really was high on him.
Because it was the same year the Dolphins drafted Minkah Fitzpatrick. And the only reason that I didn't want Lamar Jackson that year was because Adam Gase was the head coach. Because he would have tried to turn him into a pocket quarterback. Other than that, I said, this guy's going to run around everybody in the NFL, and he did. And he's got.
I thought the Ravens got the steal of that draft, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and they drafted Hayden Hurst with their first pick, and then they traded back up for Lamar Jackson there.
I got somebody. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, I always like to ask that question because it draws a barometer of where you are as how old you are and where you are as a Dolphins fan. My favorite pick was Laramie Tunsil when he fell to that pick. Because look, I did not care that Laramie Tunsil smoked pot in college. I did not care.
He fit in with the town. Let's be real.
Yeah,
that was my number one overall prospect in that draft. And that was.
I was real happy with the Keith Sims and Richmond Webb draft.
And you say that,
because we were so desperate for protection for Marino back then that I was really, really happy with Richmond Webb and Keith Sims.
That was Keith Sims was 90, and Keith Sims and Webb were 1990, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. So my first year of watching the draft was 98, the John Avery year.
I'll tell you, if I'm gonna date myself a little bit, I wasn't very happy with the Odrick pick. I didn't understand it. I felt like it was just a safe pick. It was just a guy. Not that he wasn't a decent enough football player, but
if you're talking about following through, carrying over through the offseason, first year I really started watching would have been like 87.
First year for me was 1998, and that was the John Avery year. But Jared Odrick was 2010, and they were picking 12th that year, and they traded down from 12th to 28th because the Chargers moved up for Ryan Matthews in that draft, and they basically turned what could have been Earl Thomas into Jared Odrick and Koemisi. So.
Now, since it's a super chat, shout out to Carroll City 305.
It didn't seem like it was going.
Right, and shout out to Carroll City 305, who's not going to let Brian Catt get out of here without answering this question. Would you trade Waddle for Lamar Jackson if Baltimore wanted him with next year's first round? Ravens are looking for a wide receiver 1.
So before you answer this question,
thank you for the $10 donation, Carroll City 305. He's tickling my fancy. He knows color commentary.
Before you answer this question, Kat, my favorite is Laramie Tunsil. I agree with you. My one that I hated the most, and believe it or not, because he plays for my college team, is Ted Ginn Jr. I hated Ted Ginn Jr.
He's my least favorite turnout, so that's cool.
I'm going to get back to that in a second here, but Carroll City, straight up, Waddle for Lamar Jackson, yes, absolutely, because Lamar Jackson is a star. The question that needs to be answered is why Lamar Jackson would require $50 million a year guaranteed, and why the Dolphins would, combine that with Tua. As far as player for player, yes. I mean, Lamar Jackson is way more valuable. Thank you for your donation.
Thank you for answering the question honestly, bro. Appreciate that.
But Ollie, as far as your question was concerned. Man, I'm getting all confused here. Say it again.
Again, Junior.
I was not asking you a question. I was answering your question.
Right.
My
Ted
favorite
Ginn.
Ted Ginn.
was
Ted Ginn, yeah.
Ted Ginn, yeah.
that was the worst.
So,
that was the worst pick
I'm
ever.
going to throw it back to you because honestly, Ali, I don't know if you're 25 or you're 55. I have no idea.
Wow. I mean, me and you are the same age, actually.
39?
Well, I'm 1 year older than you. I'm 40.
Okay. So, did you want Brady Quinn in that draft?
You know, I actually thought about that at the time. I did at the time, you know, because we needed a quarterback. We hadn't addressed it in forever and a day. But there are a lot of other players in that draft, like Marshawn Lynch, that we could have had. We could have had Darrelle Revis. We could have had guys like Lawrence Timmons. You know, there's a lot of people we could have had in that draft that we passed on, and I think would have been a better pick than Ted Ginn Jr., in my opinion.
Yeah. So, and here's the reason I asked that is that it was an interesting scenario with everything you guys have talked about here is that in 2005, Alex Smith was the number 1 overall pick in that draft. He was a bust for 5 years. Jamarcus Russell in 2007 was the number 1 overall pick. He was an abomination.
Yeah, he was a bust
2008, Matt Ryan was picked 3rd overall. Jake Long was 1st overall in that draft. And Matt Ryan was a reach at that time, viewed by the Falcons. 2007, Brady Quinn was a no-brainer if he fell to the Dolphins with the number 9 pick. They took Ted Ginn.
Yeah, I still can't believe that.
Again, with the Ted Ginn thing, to me, would Brady Quinn been the Brady Quinn we know, or would he been different if he ended up on Miami? You know what I'm saying?
I think
he ended up in the Browns.
A muscled-up freak, just like he is.
Yeah, I mean,
just my opinion.
To be honest,
and he's really good as a commentator. He is, but he was not a good football player.
But if going back to Ted Ginn, he was not the prototypical wide receiver. First of all, the guy was coming off an injury. He got hurt, I think, in the national championship game on kickoff. On the kickoff, he hurt his ankle.
Yeah,
the guy
got a Liz Frank injury, and
he was smaller.
There are still parts of Hard Rock Stadium. If you roam the stadium halls late at night when nobody's there, there are parts of the stadium that still have butter on them from Ted Ginn's hands.
Oh my God! So I mean, in addition to it, the guy was a lot smaller. You know, he was skinnier. He didn't have the body mass really to be in today's NFL. So, just my opinion. And with that being said, I think there was a lot better, smarter picks. There were a couple offensive linemen that you could have went with in that draft. There was a Marshawn Lynch. He would have been a running back that we hadn't had in a while. You know what I mean? There's people that you could have picked in that draft that could have been here for a while, and that would have been a much safer pick. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and Ted Ginn, when he was drafted in 2007, I like Ginn more than a lot of other people, but I was also upset at the time, full transparency, that the Dolphins didn't draft Brady Quinn. The following year, the Dolphins won the AFC East, and Ted Ginn was instrumental. The Dolphins don't win the AFC East in 2008 without Ted Ginn.
That ain't no lie.
They and the following year in 2009, he was such an abomination. Ted Ginn. He cost the Dolphins 3 games. You remember that game against the Saints, where the Dolphins had a 24-7 lead at halftime, and Ted Ginn dropped 3 passes, one of which was bobbled into Darren Sharper's hands and returned for a touchdown. Long story, but there was a reason why he was so up and down. But on the other hand, Ted Ginn played 14 years in the league. So that's why it's
I was just going to say, he's got to be the worst receiver that's ever had a long-term career.
Exactly right, Kohler. Exactly right.
It's funny you mentioned that Saints game because I was at that game.
Oh, nice.
I was at that game.
Oh, not nice, but I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. This is before we renovated the stadium. This is what it looked like. They used to have like live music and stuff right outside of what was it? What was it called? Landshark Stadium at the time, I think. Right?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
It could have still been Pro Player Park.
Yeah, I was right here with all the Saints fans and everything. I'm going to show you some pictures here. Here we go. So
Well, that's back when the seats were still orange. Look at that.
Yeah. Actually had the lead. I was talking so much smack to the Who Dat crowd that was next to me. It was ridiculous. Here you can see quite a few Saints people behind. I'll show you here in a second. Here we go.
Let's make it quick because I know Cat's got to run.
Oh yeah.
Man.
Yeah, look how skinny I was. Holy crap. That was me back in the day.
Ain't no Ali. That's a lie.
There's my Ted Ginn Jr. jersey too. I hated the draft pick, but I supported the guy. Anyway, so there we go. I just wanted to share that since you brought up that game.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that was a terrible game because that was the turning point in the Dolphins season there. And we're talking about Jared Odrick and Koemisi were okay players.
Yeah, I think the thing with the Ted Ginn was the whole selling point afterwards with the like, no, we get the family, the stuff. It really landed super flat. A year later when he showed up, I think we were like, all right, maybe this guy can be something. Then we fell flat on our face again. We're like, we fucked up, you idiots. Da, 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 da. But yeah, it's an interesting topic point. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite and stuff like that? That's a good question.
Yeah, so my favorite was Laramie Tunzel, and I've got to admit my runner-up was Deion Jordan because
really?
In 2013, the Dolphins were picking 12th in that draft. It was a terrible draft year if you go back and look at it. And they traded up from 12 to 3, and they took Deion Jordan, who I thought had enormous upside. I thought he was like a Julian Peterson type of player. I thought he was a good edge rusher, everything, but he didn't have the steroids and drug problems he had when he came to the NFL. He still played to 30 years old, but still.
I know he still figured a way into having a career, which is crazy. Good for him too, because he had his struggles. So,
and everybody thought they were trading up for Lane Johnson at that time, who is still playing in the NFL and is probably going to be a Hall of Famer. So it's Laramie Tunzel and Deion Jordan were my two. The two that I was most pissed off about, which I did nail. Number one was Austin Jackson. I could not believe this guy ever was considered a first-round pick. This is not revisionist history. He was awful in college. He was terrible. He was a good athlete. He was a good kid. He had good character. He had the bone marrow transplant for his sister. He was fantastic on that. But holy crap, he was terrible in college. And the evidence of that is that the year before that, he faced 3 players that were drafted that year. Julian Okoro from Notre Dame was a 3rd-round pick. AJ Epinesa, who was a 2nd-round pick, and Bradley Anai, who was a 5th-round pick. He was torched repeatedly all game by all 3 of them. He was terrible then. He's terrible now. So he better be a good right tackle this year for the Miami Dolphins. If not, Chris Greer deserves to be fired. And
coming for his neck, boy. Coming for his neck. I like it.
But
what was the other one?
If Austin Jackson plays well, that's a different story.
That's true.
Jason Allen in 2006.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He was.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag back in those days. Sometimes, well, I guess it's always a mixed bag, isn't it?
It always is a mixed bag when it comes to draft prospects, but I thought he was too slow to play cornerback and not instinctive enough to play safety.
It seemed like at times with Allen that he might get it figured out, but you're right. He just didn't have it. He didn't have the stuff.
If you remember,
was that the year we got Sean's what was the year we got Sean Smith? Oh no, that wasn't that's not the guy I'm thinking of. The other
Yeah,
corner.
it was that same year. Yeah,
It was, wasn't it?
You're right, because 2009, that was the Sean Smith, Pat White year when they
Yes.
drafted them, and Jason Allen broke out in the first 3 games. He had 3 interceptions in the first 3 games,
Yeah.
and he was so bad in the next 2 games they cut him.
Yeah, and Sean Smith actually ended up being a damn good replacement. So
When Sean Smith was a bump and run cornerback at 6'4", 220, he was fantastic.
yeah, he was good.
And then when they switched to a zone defense, he was useless. He was the worst
he
cornerback
couldn't.
I've ever seen.
Yeah, he couldn't do it. Well, I appreciate you coming back, Brian Cat NFL. Go follow him on Twitter, guys.
Thanks,
We'll
Brian.
have you come
Finally
in
got a chance
again
to really
sometime,
chop it up
especially
with you
after
for a
the
while.
draft. You know, after the draft, we'll see what you think about the picks and stuff like that. Maybe we'll talk again on some other nonsense. You know, you can reach out to me anytime. The door is always open, Cat, and we would love to have you back at any moment, anytime you're ready to come. I love these conversations. They're productive. They're fun. I feel like I learned some stuff, which I could totally do. I can definitely need to learn things. And, you know, I appreciate it.
Great
Man.
Brian Cat, everybody, holding down the Dolphins fort. Only 2 hours away from Arrowhead, right on the front lines.
I'm definitely going to that game next year.
I'm going to be there too myself. We're already making plans for that one.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Hey, if you come down, definitely hit me up on that. Okay.
Yeah, no doubt, because you're in the Ozarks area, so
Word
it's like
up.
that's the place we'd want to be anyway for
Sweet,
a
man.
minute.
Thanks,
you know what
Brian.
I mean?
El Capitan, Color,
Thanks a lot,
Ali.
Brian.
Have a good night,
Thank
guys.
you. You
Thanks,
too.
bud.
You know, he lives
Another success.
real quick, dude.
I
He
would
lives
say,
near a
guys.
place. He lives on a lake.
Absolute success. I thought it was very productive. Thought it was very fun.
Yeah, definitely. Can you hear me out, El Capitan?
I think he's having a delay.
Oh, okay. Well, while he's having a delay, I was going to say that Brian Cat lives near this big lake, and that lake has a peninsula.
It's on a delay a little bit, Color, with you for some reason. You too,
Just with
Ali.
me,
I'm
or
delaying both of you guys.
is it just me, Ali, or are you getting a delay from me too, Ali?
No, not at all. I'm hearing it. I think Captain's hearing it that way. It might be something StreamYard going on.
It's both of you guys, dude.
So the lake that he lives near has a peninsula that sticks out and a town that sits in it, and the town is called Florida. It's Florida, Missouri, and it's because it's a peninsula that sticks out on a lake.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know how close he is to it, but it's in that neck of the woods.
Go ahead, Cap. What do you got for us?
I mean, I know how close he is, but I don't want to tell nobody how close he is.
So, all right. Appreciate everybody. I know you guys. I don't know if you guys are talking. We're gonna close her up. Everybody, if you haven't hit the like button now, make sure you guys are hitting it. I appreciate everyone coming by, and you know, we'll be on tomorrow for Syndicate Friday. Get the panel kicking, get everyone in this
Yelling
and
and
we'll see you guys next time. Fins up, everybody.
Fins up.